Good evening, friends. Thank you all for being here this evening. Welcome to the first program of financial year 17-18. This is our first program of ANMI Western Region for this year. I welcome you all. Thank you for being here. And we begin. At the start, I invite Mr. Kamlesh Shah for his opening remarks. Can we have it for him? Thank you.
Good evening, friends. This is the first program of 2017-18, and AMNI is now 21 years old. So whether you call it adult or mature, whatever it is, and we have got good recognition. It has established its place in the industry as well as with the regulator and the exchanges. Primarily, we conduct a lot of programs during the year as per the requirements on various issues related to mainly to the members for the development of market, for the new product, for the supervision and various matters that affects the industry. Last year, we had 29 program done during the year. This year also, we are in talks with both the exchanges. We are getting input from the members, and we are planning to prepare a calendar which will be circulated to you well in advance so that you can reserve your time. And your input also would be helpful to us to decide which topic to be included for the interactive sessions. Today's seminar is on very important issue. The countdown to paradigm shift in the way we do business has begun. Introduction of goods and service tax in India will bring in new regime of tax compliance and the way we do our business. Hence, it is time for us to understand the impact of GST on stockbroking industry. Today, we are fortunate to have with us Advocate Shailesh Seth as learned speaker who will guide us on the implication of GST Act. I sincerely hope that you will enjoy the learning session. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Kamlesh ji. Friends, rules keep changing, regulations keep changing, and the way we do business also keeps changing. And here is another such thing with coming up with GST Act, where we need to know a lot of things in our working. And we are fortunate to have with us Shri Shailesh Seth, who will brief us on this important topic today. He is a graduate in Commerce and Law. He has over 25 years of experience in consulting, advisory, and litigation practice in the field of indirect tax laws that include central excise, service tax, customs, state VAT laws, and CST. In the immediate past, he was associated with BDO India LLP as Senior Advisor Indirect Tax for about 3 years. Shailesh ji, with his indirect tax team, specializes in all the facets of indirect tax field, involving advisory, compliance-related, and litigation support services. Mr. Seth has been a regular faculty at various chapters of ICAI and ICSI, BCAAs, various study circles of ICAI, Chamber of Tax Consultants, and other professional bodies. He has been a regular speaker at various trade and industry forums on the subjects of central excise and service tax. He is a regular columnist in Vyapar, a bi-weekly newspaper of Janmabhoomi Group, and also Midday on service tax and central excise, and has also contributed number of articles to various magazines as well as taxation websites like TIOL. Thank you, sir. I invite now Mr. Kamlesh sir for felicitating Shri Shailesh Seth. Request both of you to be on dais, sir. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Sri Kamlesh Shah, President of ANMI, other office bearers and friends, good evening. I don't know, I think this is my second seminar on GST on behalf of ANMI. Some of you might have attended my earlier talks also. So I wouldn't like to repeat the background, complete background, why GST, what is GST, what is the justification for GST. I would not go into that. But undisputedly, this is going to be the most paradigm shift taking place in the country in the field of indirect tax ever. And the impact of which will be felt for decades to come. Without any doubts whatsoever, the life will not be the same again for anybody in this country once the GST is ushered in. Be it a manufacturer, service provider, or person from the distributive trade, and including the end consumers. Not to speak about the professionals. Nothing would be the same again. And in near couple of generations, I am not expecting, visualizing any major change coming place which would replace GST. There could be different variants of GST, like OECD with IMF, World Bank are already discussing, contemplating the various forms of GST, like variable VAT, compensatory VAT, split VAT, refund VAT. But whichever may be, but this philosophy is likely to stay here for few generations. So everything which we have understood, learned, experienced, and implemented in the form of indirect tax laws during all these decades will be finally and permanently will be relegated to the past. So it's a challenge, it's a biggest challenge which a taxpayer in any capacity would face in this country. The philosophy of VAT, before we get into that, just simply to put it very simply, the taxation powers which are divided between the center and the states as per the constitutional mandate, Article 246, Schedule 7, Union List 1, State List 2, Concurrent List. That is actually ensured that center cannot levy the tax beyond the factory gate and states cannot levy the tax on the services. So the center's province to levy the tax on any business activity stops at the factory gates of the manufacturer. Center cannot levy any tax on the distributive trade. CST, no doubt, it is being levied under the Central Sales Tax Act 1956, which is a central legislation. In effect, it is basically a state tax in the sense that the entire income accrues to the state from where the origin of the movement of the goods to another state lies. So from that perspective, it is an origin-based tax. As against that, states cannot levy the tax on the services, which is the exclusive province of the center. This is unknowingly or inevitably resulted into the cascading effect of tax on tax. Today we are having the plethora of indirect taxes being levied by center, by the states and by the local bodies. Central excise, service tax, on import CVD, SAD, additional excise duty of goods of special importance, additional excise duty textile and textile articles, cesses, surcharges, the plethora of indirect taxes levied by center. Similarly, at the state level, VAT, for that matter CST, cesses, surcharges, entertainment tax, purchase tax, luxury tax, entry tax, and at the local level, prominent LBT or octroi. These are the few, not to count stamp duty, property tax, road tax, passenger tax, goods tax, toll tax, green tax, and on top of that, all type of cesses which we are facing. Now, when all these indirect taxes which are being levied on the business activity being conducted by a person in any capacity, what happens is that there arises the cascading effect of tax on tax. And how does it arise? Please understand two main characteristics of the indirect tax. The first is all indirect taxes are consumption taxes. They are in principle imposed on the consumption taking place in the country of goods or services. All are consumption taxes, and therefore ultimate burden is passed on or is to be borne by the consumer or customer. This is first characteristic. And the second, which has more relevance from the execution perspective, and that is all indirect taxes are transaction based taxes. Every single transaction may invest you with the rights, but at the same time may create obligations against you. This is unlike the direct tax like income tax, where there are blocked assessment. So a taxpayer does everything during the year, and at the end of the year, the chartered accountant comes into play and he sets right everything in the manner we want him to do. This does not happen when you are dealing with the transaction taxes like all indirect taxes. It is like once the transaction is entered into the system, it is indelible, it is eternal. This part I am mentioning only because in the context of GST, this transaction-based character of GST may assume significance, very, very significant importance also. Now, being the consumption-based taxes, they are to be levied on the consumption. So the tendency on part of a taxpayer who is paying any indirect tax in any form whatsoever is to really pass on and recover it. And rightly so, so long as he recover, nothing wrong in that. But at that stage, he is recovering and paying it to the government. So the taxpayer is acting as a collection agent for the government. He is purely a collection agent sans any remuneration whatsoever. So as has been rightly said, that everybody in the country, everybody today works for the government. Either they are on the payroll or on their tax roll. We are not fortunate enough to be on their payroll like the Sarkari Jawai, but we are on their tax rolls. So we are collecting and we are recovering and we are paying it to the government. But still, if taxpayer is unable to recover the tax, then obviously the liability still rests with the taxpayer. In the case of indirect tax, that is one. Now, the loading of the indirect tax in whatever form in the prices stands reduced or mitigated, the impact stands mitigated to some extent when a credit is provided to the taxpayer. When the credit is provided, then obviously it does not form part of the cost of the product, whether it is goods or whether it is service. And to that extent, lesser burden is passed. Now, because of the division of taxation powers between the center and the states, the first anomaly which arises today in the indirect tax sphere in the country is that the manufacturer cannot take the credit of the VAT to be offset against central excise. He can take the credit of VAT to be offset against VAT. Trader cannot take the credit of the service tax. The CST is not available by way of credit to anybody. No credit is available of purchase tax, luxury tax, entertainment tax, LBT, entry tax, octroi, or any such taxes. This is not available. Now, the taxes which are being levied on the transaction at whatever stage and in whatever manner, when they are not allowed to be credited, then it becomes part of the cost. So, a stockbroker buying the goods on payment of VAT for its day-to-day business activity, when unable to take the credit of that VAT, because ultimately it is paying only the service tax on its activity, then that VAT liability becomes part of his cost of operations, to put it. And this is the cascading effect of tax on tax, which is somehow or other it is an inevitable feature, and the problem does not lie with India. We have peculiar problem because of the federal character of the country. This problem has been a part of the indirect tax policy all over the world. All the countries have been facing this. And from there, basically, and apart, the idea of the VAT sprang up. And that was way back in 1919 in Germany, where at that time, the prevalent cell tax structure, cell tax policies of the Germany was as bad as ours as before prior to 2005, before all the states and union territories switch over to VAT. It was as bad as ours. How much bad? In the words of late Dr. Amresh Bagchi, one of the noted economists of this country, who described the then prevalent cell tax system of India as the most archaic, irrational, and the most complicated, according to the knowledgeable experts, most complicated in the world. The sentiments which were echoed by the Empowered Committee of State Finance Ministers in its white paper released in 2004, just prior to introduction of VAT in the country. So Germany was facing, and these problems were multiple. Apart from this cascading effect of tax on tax,